Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, February the 21st, and this is the Futures in 5 pre-market action showing us that buying pressure off the support zones, particularly this congestion event, is still holding. Now, what we do here, notice, because this chart is essentially bullish, it's going to look for buyers to engage intraday at or near relative congestion, and that is sitting where we are right now. So I'll put this number here as one for you to remember. It's currently the low of the pre-market, might end up being the Globex low, but we are very likely to bounce in this particular formation. So what are we looking at? Well, yesterday I said, hey, listen, you want to watch for potential exhaustion to the upside that pulls back. And now when people see a brand new high, they go, well, that doesn't look exhausted. And so the question becomes, well, what actually is an exhaustion pattern? And an exhaustion pattern is a pattern that expands in one direction very sharply and then cannot hold it. And that's exactly what we saw, because all of my commentary really is geared towards intraday motion. We would have a completely different conversation if we were looking at swing motion, but we're not. We're looking at intraday motion. And right now it's telling us, hey, listen, our pullbacks into congestion areas are bringing buyers to the mix. So what's the storyboard? Well, yesterday, a ton of buyers began to show up at this 2782.25 area. It was a monster zone that we simply could not get below. And that actually ended up really giving us the afternoon bounce into these higher levels. Now notice, this is the candlestick prior to that, of course, and then here is the Fed announcement saying that they're going to trim back on making that balance sheet smaller. A lot of folks looking at it like, wow, you know, they're buckling to market pressure, whatever. But they're still saying that they could raise the rates. They just want to be cautious. So I also heard something else. Someone said, hey, you know, they never pause and then raise the rates again. They simply start lowering the rates. And that might be true, but we are at extremely low levels of interest. And so that might end up being a series of data points that are so small that they don't give us a good data set from a probability perspective. So the big question is, can we get up and stay up over 82? If that answer is yes, we're going to have bullish motion into 86, 87, potentially more, though this to me looks a little tired, and so our bounces should be just like these others here, giving us lower highs. Same storyboard in the NQ, very noisy. Look at this patch, right? We want to talk about a chart that really is range bound and is expanding. Look at this. This is, you know, if you don't look at this wick, since it was outside morning hours, pre-market in a sense, we would really be looking at a megaphone that is just expanding and then contracting. What's the story? Well, we're coming into support. We are still in an upward trending formation that's still giving us generally higher highs and generally higher lows, and that area gives us this bounce perspective in general. That's really what we're going to have to look at. So pullbacks, buy zones, right? We're looking at regions right now. We're stopping at this, and this, for those of you interested, and those of you that, oops, that's the wrong one. Yeah, that's the wrong moving average. Sorry about that. This is a Kaufman adaptive moving average, and it is the 20 moving average. It's what we use in our rhythm metrics that give us our triggers that say, hey, listen, we're off to look for support, or hey, listen, we're off to look for resistance because we have established support. Okay, so that being said, everything's relative to trend, pullbacks or buy zones, and we are looking at something really fairly normal there. For the YM, you know, we did break higher. I suspected that we wouldn't really get above 72. I think that might have been my target yesterday in the blog, but we did stretch up over that, and now fading, coming into these very, very significant compression areas and bouncing. Why? Because it's bullish activity, right? And that bullish activity is going to last as long as buyers come to the mix. What is the chart doing? This still looks like a small exhaustion pattern into higher support. That will give us another punch higher. If we can't get up over here, or we can't break the overnight high, then we've got something else to consider. We could easily fall back into this channel. It is very range-based in general, and I think there is a little bit of that feeling that we might be somewhat, open quotations, overbought, close quotations. This one has been a beast. This, of course, is oil. Taking a look at this chart, it is really breaking out. A lot of people talking about oil ready to go. You know, for me, been looking at this inverted head and shoulders pattern for a while, coming right into the edge of resistance. Listen, this chart is bullish, no doubt about it. Been saying it for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. The chart is bullish, right? But as we get into resistance, like we are here, it is very likely that we are allowed the opportunity to engage on the pullbacks. We are in a little bit of a pullback pattern this morning. This says, hey, listen, we've got a test of resistance after this support. We want to watch this. That's where the resistance area was, already pre-identified. That's simply what these things tell us. So what we have to do is say, hey, can we come back into these edges and move, you know, closer to higher support zones? And what that might that be? 56.26. Could be even higher. It could be 56.56, 56.60. Who knows? But this is a very likely pattern to give us a fade that holds as support. Listen, if we come out and something monstrous happens and this thing absolutely digs super deep, it's a buy zone. Absolutely 100% buy zone, super deep dips. This is very, very bullish. Also, yesterday, finally taking a look at gold. Yesterday, it got right up into these levels. It could not hold the breakout formation. And now, just like I mentioned, thin volume action keeping us right here. If you look at yesterday's video, you'll notice these levels have not changed. This is the bounce zone. Here's the question. Can we get back up over 1340? If we can, the chart's going to try and grind its way back into some sort of topping event. This one is also fairly exhausted in my mind. It needs to come in, take a breath, let old resistance become new support. That is going to make things really pretty. Once again, however, any deep monster dips you see in this chart, it's going to be a buy zone. Just stare it down for these key levels. Look at your weekly highs, your daily lows, whatever those things are that help you go, wow, this is where I see buyers and sellers, and you're going to be in fairly nice shape. All right, good luck trading today. Volatility is compressing a bit. That gives us essentially bullish action on the horizon. You know, certainly not a place to be long volatility in my mind, so you want to be careful with your options and such. Good luck, and we'll see you all tomorrow.